Yo, 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 what's up, everyone? It's Dojo for another Polish Ambasstronauts podcast. I'm your host, community manager at the Polish Ambassadors Web3 Exploration Project. With me today is FutureGeeGee, project leader of our Web3 space. Hey, what's up, Brian? How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. I think it's officially changed over from, I think, kind of like winter to spring, or maybe even spring
Oh
to
yeah.
summer here.
Yeah.
Actually, my wife and I got to go out this morning to like what was it, an art and wine festival in Little Clayton, California. So just like seeing people
Yeah.
again. Oh man,
Yeah.
amazing. So I don't know. Are you getting out of the house at all, or are you just straight
Yeah.
homebody?
Yeah. A little bit. I've been hanging out with some family this weekend, and actually, you and we went on a little trip down to
A
Santa
little
Barbara
trip.
and San Diego to see TPA and to help out with. We have a booth now at some of the live shows, sort of helping people understand what we're doing and with the Web3 stuff. And yeah, it was a really fun trip. It was interesting and fun and lots of people, and it was kind of crazy. You could tell people really need. Everyone's just like, this is what we needed for a while, just be out and hanging out and dancing and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I felt like the kid from Almost Famous, right? I'm like with David and Ayla and you, like riding in a van down to these shows. Like it was insane, man. Like again, this is not my life at all, but it has just been amazing to reconnect with David after all these years, and again to see the magic that he brings. I mean, hundreds of people, just
yeah,
vibing, dancing, connecting his community. So
yeah, for
again,
sure.
great to be in physical spaces. And obviously on this podcast, we're interested in interviewing, creators, builders, musicians, people kind of that are thinking about or have made that transition from kind of web 2 to web 3. And maybe without further ado, let's bring in the main man today. So we've got Cromulon on today's show. So we're going to learn a lot about the metaverse, maybe get into some wearable conversations. Cromulon, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course,
Excited
man.
to be here with y'all.
Yeah, and Jumpsuit Records artists too, right? We got
Yep.
two out of I don't even know, how big is the roster?
I don't know. I feel like it's 30, between 30 and 40 artists now.
Amazing.
I don't
Amazing.
know.
Well, you're one of the big ones, so we feel lucky to have you, man. And look, I got to start here. Like, Cromulon, is that truly a Rick and Morty? Like,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad you got the reference there.
That's awesome, man. Well, for folks that, maybe they're just tapping into you for the first time, or maybe there's some longtime friends out there, just maybe tell us a little bit about you, kind of your entry into music. And then I think we can spend most of the time, talking about this transition into Web3, et cetera. But
yeah.
Let's
well,
go.
that's a big part of my brand anyways, is kind of the blockchain, decentralized, open source world. But that, has obviously come a little bit later in my musical career. I started Cromulon pretty recently. I actually finished all the songs that just got signed in 2020, like during the first lockdown. Finally gave me some time to like really hone in on that. And then, then I just kind of submitted it to some labels about 6 months after that, and was super shocked that David loved it and wanted to bring me on board. So that's when I kind of like started putting a lot more effort into it, and kind of going more all in on that, because definitely got some positive reinforcement there.
That's amazing. Yeah. Do you mind sharing any of those like early interactions with TPA? And
well, yeah, I mean, I actually had I know a couple people that are on the label, and I kind of was like, hey, do you think you could like reach out to David and kind of like plant a seed a little bit? And neither of them did. So I just went out on a limb, and I just found the submission page on the website and just sent him my stuff on like a Friday night at like 11 o'clock. And after I did it, I was like, that was so stupid to send an email like Friday night at 11. That's just going to get buried in an inbox. And then I think I sent it like 9 p.m. And then at 11 p.m. he emailed me back, and he's like, hey, Kyle, I think your music would do great on the label. I'm copying you to my assistant, but she'll give you an intake and send the contract over. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, really? Whoa. And that was like came with a big just, you know, everything was getting shifted in the world that time, and like all sorts of personal stuff and you know, greater humanity things at the same time. And so that actually kind of came as I was like moving out of another, you know, out of my other work scenario too. And it was like, it all felt very cosmic. So I'm very happy to be a part of it, and very thankful and pleased to be like on that team and start growing this Cromulon thing, because I'm pretty new to producing music even. You know, I've been playing music my whole life. I grew up playing keys, mostly playing in bands like, you know, jam bands, funk bands, funky jam bands. And I've always kind of liked electronic music, but had never really like dove into it. And a few years even before I got signed and started really kind of taking production seriously, I like had a band that broke up that I put a lot of time into, and that was just kind of frustrating. And I was like, shit, I really do like electronic music, and I'm going to just do that. So like, I only have to hold myself accountable, and like, I can bring on other musicians to play with me, which I've been doing, which has been like really fulfilling too. And like, really trying to like, cause we play with a drummer and a guitarist now too. And then I play keys and like theremin and stuff. So took a lot of inspiration from the Floozies actually. I remember listening to them, you know, in like 2016, and I was like, oh, you can do this. Like, you can just kind of play like parts, but not have to play it all, and kind of like DJ. And like, I guess in my head, I was like, I don't think people would like that. But then I kind of saw that, got a little affirmation, and then kind of dug in more, seeing other electronic groups doing similar stuff and finding them. And yeah, I've been all about it since.
That's amazing. And
yeah,
Brian, wasn't that kind of like, is it like Tropo that we met down at Lucidity, kind of, you know, playing violin, but then also doing some stuff?
Yeah, he does some of that. Tropo's a total gearhead, you know, so I think a lot of that's like learning your gear and figuring out, okay, how do we have a big sound as big as electronic artists would have, and have live instruments at the same time, you know, like stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a conundrum, you know. I mean, it can definitely be done, but like, it takes a lot more like to mix it with backing tracks and like get that mix on the fly. And like, I've been doing something unique. I don't know if everyone does this, but I've been running, we mic up the drum kit and I run it into my audio interface on stage, and I submix it all live in Ableton. And we've been having some latency issues, but I just bought like a really fast Firewire interface, so it's helped with that. But yeah, I'm kind of like, haven't found a lot online on even how to do that, so I've kind of just been doing a lot of trial and error.
Well, I think doesn't TPA do that? I mean, he's got like all the stems available on his laptop, like ready to go, versus, you know, I mean, maybe more traditional setups, you know, for an EDM artist, for example.
Right. Yeah, it seems like it.
He's done different amalgamations too. He's had live, you know, someone will come in and play saxophone, and then he'll just cut the saxophone parts on the track, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and Cromulon, for people that again are just listening to this, you know, go for a walk in the dog or whatever. I mean, I think there's a key image here of you. Is it skateboarding, snowboarding, you know, rocking on a keyboard? I'm thinking those like electric pink and blue. And one of the phrases that stuck out to me, I think it was like, is it like retro soul with like robot sex noises? Like,
exactly.
So like bring people into, you know what I mean? Like the vibe that you're trying to create.
Okay. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, you're referencing my like profile picture, and it's me doing a stale fish with the keyboard as a skateboard. I just kind of thought that kind of captured my brand pretty well. But yeah, like I really like the pinnacle of music for me, like my favorite genre of music is like the 70s, like fusion funk, like Herbie Hancock sort of shit is just like really does it for me. So, and like Fela Kuti and like all that Afro funk and stuff like really gets me going. So, and like Lettuce, a band that's doing it right now, is huge inspiration. So like I really love like the tonal quality of like these like real retro instruments. Like I started playing keys because I love the Hammond B3 organ so much, you know, and I love horns and I love all these like organic instruments like a lot. And I love the, you know, just like that funk vibe that comes with it. But I also really love robot sex noises and fucking womps and like just like so much that you can, so much musical texture that you can bring into the world now with production and like the high quality VSTs we have. So like I'm just trying to make both that happen. If I can bring like the funky groove that I love from like 70s fusion and then flesh it out with like the wobbly wompy shit that I just really like that's my mission.
I love it. And what is there a new album that's out as well?
Recently, I've been working on a bunch right now, and I feel honestly a little spread too thin between all these projects because I'm working on another EP, and I'm also working on a big NFT project that I'm really excited about, and that is I'm writing original music for that as well. So there's a lot in the works. I'm hoping to have something done by the end of the summer. Probably, hopefully both of them will be done. But man, one thing I've realized now that I'm actually like hustling this as a brand and promoting it and kind of doing a little bit of everything myself is that I spend a lot less time making music now. And because I don't have any hard deadlines, you know, on like making music. That's, you know, something that I need to make a deadline for myself. But like, you know, if I'm getting ready for like a podcast or a live stream or, you know, putting out some merch or I need to do this to line up a show, it's like all that has hard deadlines. So like I end up putting music on the back burner. So that's been a big part of now that I'm back at the control station for a little bit, like working on everything. I'm setting aside days now where I actually am just make music because I think that's just what I'm going to have to do, you know?
That's awesome. And are you able to support yourself full time through Web3 and all of that? Or like,
no way.
I'm just thinking again, there's so many people that, you know, like whether it's in LA, like waiting tables that want to be, you know, so I think that we're at this interesting crossroads, right? For like people that want to get there are on their way. But I was just curious where you're at on that flight path.
I mean, Cromulon is still pretty new and not too known about. So like, it's kind of tough to monetize it right now. Like streaming royalties, I don't expect to see a check on that for years. You know, and the shows we played, you know, they pay all right, but I pay the musicians too. So like I generally like don't make a lot off that. And merch sales are okay, but I actually made some tracksuits and that's been the best merch decision I ever did. More people want that than fucking t-shirts. So maybe that's the jumpsuit gods
coming to help.
But I will tell you, I haven't made much on it, but this last year I made more money selling my NFTs on my first, I tokenized some like commemorative ones on the first album drop. And I made more money off that than anything else. So step in the right direction for sure.
Yes. Well, FutureGeeGee, I'm hogging the mic. What questions do you have for our guy here? This is, we're getting into your wheelhouse now.
I was just thinking Tracksuit Records would be a nice little subsidiary of Jumpsuit. Little brand.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I guess my question is, you know, a while back, I know you reached out to me and you reached out to several or maybe all of the Jumpsuit musicians. And I remember you were saying, you know, hey, I'm into NFTs and would you be interested in, you know, being a part of, you know, having an NFT and this, and at the time I wasn't into NFTs, you know, and I was like, you know, into crypto a while back, but I wasn't even into crypto, I don't think at that point again, you know, after the 2017 thing. And so I'm just curious, like you were pretty early on the music NFT thing. And I mean, do you want to talk about that and
Love
maybe
to.
start getting into metaverse stuff as well?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump in. I got into crypto in 2017 during that bull run. And that's when I just really kind of like dug in and did a lot of self-exploration into that space and taught myself a lot. And just immediately, as happens so much with people that get into crypto, I just started seeing all the possibilities for it. You know, I've always been like kind of a you know, open source, decentralized theory kind of person, you know, and so you know, open source cross-border money transfers without any middleman, you know, I just saw so many great opportunities in that. Of course, it's not like a silver bullet or anything, but I think it's an important step in the right direction, is decentralizing money. So that was huge. Got really into that, was teaching myself a lot for those few years. And then when the NFT thing first started to blow up, like when Beeple was like making his very first NFTs and stuff, I was right there in all the like groups and checking out all like the first YouTube videos and YouTubers that were talking about it. And I just got smitten right away, obviously, because I'm a musician. Blockchain was like, is still one of my huge passions in life. So I was like, wow, I can really kind of fuse these two things together. So I got really excited then, minted my first NFTs, I think. I don't know. When was it? I think it was in 2020 at some point. I'll have to look. Luckily it's all time stamped on the block.
Forever.
Yeah. Yeah, then so like the whole decentralized lack of the middleman thing blew my mind when I had the aha moment of realizing that all of those amazing characteristics can be put into the career of an artist. People that are just regularly just you know, really taken advantage of by middlemen. Yep. And don't have a lot of say in like royalty payments and all this stuff. And I mean, honestly, since the beginning of time, like even you know, back in the 1700s, like there were art dealers and stuff, there were galleries, and there were all these things. There have been middlemen the entire time. And I realized this is like the first time ever that an artist can really have this level of autonomy and can create art without you know, with a little bit of upfront cost on their own, you know, if they're writing to ETH mainnet or something, or next to nothing if it's on Polygon or something. And then you can sell art directly, you know, in a matter of seconds to someone on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And there's no middleman to take a cut of that. And it's just you and your hustle and in the quality of your art. And so that was just huge for me, you know. So I immediately was like, I'm about this. I need to get into this, and I want to be even seen as an early adopter, because like that's a big part of my brand now too, and will continue to be, because I see the power of actually like monetizing art through NFTs. So like it's been a mission of mine to like be public and vocal about it and talk about the good parts and even the bad parts, but debunk a lot of the bad parts too, because there's just a lot of misinformation around blockchain in general. But yeah, and then the fact that you can program in royalties is huge too, you know? So then like
every time it trades hands, you know, the second, the third, the fourth, the 18th sale,
exactly,
the artist is getting a cut of that.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's will completely revolutionize art in general. And like some people don't like that as much because they think you should like value yourself on the initial sale, but I don't think so, you know. And I like the fact that if I can price something a little bit cheaper because I know that I'll get royalties for the rest of my life, then I can get sales earlier on and build like a clientele and build like a relationship, like a very different relationship with my fan base because of that, you know. And then I can support myself more off of it in the future, you know.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we got to interview this great Austrian painter in one of our earlier episodes. He's collected in like 5 galleries. I mean, like sold 6-figure art pieces, but he was talking about, he got into NFTs. He's like 60 plus years old. And he's
Wow.
like, before, you know, someone would buy me at a gallery and I'd try and follow up and say, hey, who purchased, you know, that kick-ass lion that I made? And
Yeah.
they'd say, sorry, you know, like,
Oh, really?
anonymous, you know, like donor X or what. So like he was talking
Wow.
about the ability to connect directly and to know which of his fans or patrons own 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 of his pieces. You know,
Yeah.
he can start to create and communicate with those super fans in completely new ways.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we're kind of already getting into this space where like, you know, Patreons are more popular, and there's all these like other ways for, and just through social media in general, like really connecting with your fan base and like creating that bond, you know. So I think this kind of just like builds upon that. And then there's also like, I've been starting to think of it as like, you know, and I think this is a good way for a lot of people to think of NFTs in general, is you are actually selling like stock in yourself, in your artistic career, you know. And it's not like a one-to-one, like there's this many shares of Apple, and even then those companies can create more or less shares at you know, any of their own whim. But like, you know, if you get like that's why I think I'm in a unique position too, because I'm not big and well known yet, but like my entire music career is time stamped on the blockchain, and it will be there. So like, if I do keep doing what I'm doing, which I will, you know, like odds are that like those early pieces are going to be like my genesis thing, and hopefully they will be worth more money than, you know, now. But like, I really see it as like, yeah, selling stock in myself as an artist, building like a closer, intimate relationship with my fan base. And then, you know, giving them utility too. Like that's a huge part of NFTs as well. And now more than ever is like rewarding holders, you know, because they in essence have bought into Cromulon. And now I would love to reward them with whatever, be it real world or metaverse stuff of like, you know, maybe you get like backstage access pass or like a meet and greet or something for my NFT holders. Like I would love to do something like that. Or like, excuse me, I start dropping them like other NFTs, you know, just for by the nature of holding them. Or like getting into the metaverse has been really opening up new doors in that essence for like play to earn games and whatnot. And like I'm actually working on this project now where my next NFT release, and people who hold my Genesis NFTs will actually, by nature of them holding it, will be able to participate in like a play to earn game and be able to win like virtual wearables in like Decentraland or other metaverses, or just, you know, maybe I'll make some NFTs that are you can only get, the only way you can get them is by actually maybe playing this play to earn game by owning one of my other NFTs. So like, there's just so many exciting ways to actually like, it's not just a piece of art. Like it's really just like, it's a token of your place in time within this journey of this artist, you know? So like, I'm really excited about everything on that front to actually like reward people that are, you know, in my little realm and appreciate my music, you know?
Yeah. Well, talk to us about some of those metaverse spaces. So I had a chance the other day. You dropped a link for FutureGeeGee and me to come check out CromuLand, and I got my little POAP finally and connected with you, Mac, and met some. Yeah, she's awesome. But for people that have never been to like a Web3 concert, or, you know, never been to an event, like it was super cool for me. But like, how do you explain it to folks? Or I imagine that you've onboarded dozens and dozens of people who are like, what the hell is this? So talk us through kind of your journey into the metaverse. And then like, this isn't just like a little 1x1 parcel of land. Like there's a Ferris wheel, there's a VIP starship, there's galleries. Like, I mean, your place is legit, man. So like, talk to us a little bit about, what you're doing in the metaverse.
Yeah. So absolutely. First of all, thank you. Yeah, I really put a lot into that place, and really want to use it to bring a lot of other musicians into that community. I'll circle back to this, but it's really like it's the best place I've found for smaller artists to actually make NFT sales. That's because there's these barriers to entry right now of people that want to buy NFTs, especially like if you have the clout to get minted on like one of the large curated sites like Known Origin or Super Rare, like they have built-in buyers and you can buy with credit cards there and stuff. So like they've made it easier for people to purchase there. But if you are just like me or a lot of us and you're just minting on a public platform and then you're selling on OpenSea, like it's really hard to find. Even if you have a fan base, there's like a small percentage of your fan base that even understands the value proposition of an NFT and might want to purchase one. And then it's even a much smaller percentage of them even that are crypto literate enough to have their own Web3 wallet, have their Ethereum, and are familiar with OpenSea and are ready to actually go make a purchase. So I found out that Decentraland was a perfect funnel for all those people and just puts them all in one spot. So yeah, that's the value that I've really found on it. But me getting into the metaverse was actually kind of random, and I didn't expect it to be like it is now. You know, like when the NFT light bulb went off, I got it, you know, immediately. And I knew this was all going to happen pretty quickly. But the metaverse was just kind of almost more like just, I was like, oh, that's fun. That's fun. I like that. You know, I like, yeah, I like the idea of, I just like NFTs. There's just the power of NFTs is huge. Like the whole just JPEG art part of NFT is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, really, like NFTs are going to be more utilized than fungible cryptocurrency or any currency, I think, because there's more like, you know, an NFT is just it's just a single document that can't, or anything that can't be fungible or interchanged. And so like, that's the deed to your house. That's the title to your car. You know, like every single shipping container can be an NFT with like all these checkpoints within that where it like checks on like temperature and humidity and all these things, you know, like, and the use case for NFTs far surpasses the use case for even currency, you know? So like once they start really coming into their own and becoming more than just a JPEG, like, you know, the possibilities are endless. Also concert tickets. That's something I'd like to talk about a little bit later too, that I'm really excited about because it by far surpasses like, it's just the superior technology for concert tickets more than like anything else. Anyways, we'll circle back around to that, but I just got excited about Decentraland because I was like, oh, land, that's neat. You know, I do believe that VR is going to become more and more mainstream, and AR especially. And so like, I think it makes sense for these virtual worlds to actually have a use case, you know, especially now that Meta's out there and like we all know Facebook, their business model just not in our best interest. So like the last thing we want to do is have them laying the groundwork for the metaverse. But yeah, I found out about Decentraland like 2 months after it actually went live, just on someone else's podcast online. And I thought that was cool. So I went in and I bought some land before like, you know, it really blew up, and I got some wearables, and they're only like, I mean, it was a ghost town at that point. Like you would walk around and you'd see like maybe even at like a publicized event by like Dapcraft, like one of the bigger events that's like actually like known for like making high quality wearables and stuff. There are like 40, 50 people there, and they're all just like developers mostly, you know,
collecting.
yeah, exactly, dude. And so like, I just thought it was neat. And to be totally honest, one of the reasons why I really liked it is because I like design. And like, even as a small kid, I like almost wanted to be like an architect growing up, and then decided there's too much math. But like, I like the concept of design in all everything, clothing, aesthetics. That's why I really like my branding even, and have enjoyed that. But like, I wanted to I got into like SketchUp, this like free 3D modeling software. It's super primitive that Google makes. and I would like, I made a school, like I lived in a school bus and for some years, and like I made a complete scale SketchUp model of it before I even built it out and stuff. So I kind of just like liked that. And so the reason why I liked Decentraland was like, oh, I can make a virtual like venue for my own NFTs. And that was kind of just like, I just wanted to do that. And I didn't really expect much to come out of it. So that's why I got into it. And yeah, so like I enjoyed the space. And then when I made my NFTs, I was like, oh, well, it's only natural that I'll like throw an event, because you can throw events in Decentraland. And I did that early on. I think I was the first person in Decentraland to actually do that. And people came, and I met like a lot of new people. And it seemed like a lot of those people were also like interested that I was doing that, and like one of the first people to do that. And I sold all my NFTs within like a couple of weeks just to people in Decentraland based off that event.
Wow.
And that's when the metaverse clicked for me, because I was like, wow, I don't have, like, I have a bit of an Instagram following and Spotify and SoundCloud and stuff, but most of them are not savvy to NFTs. Like I make posts about them and stuff, and they get, you know, received well, but like I'm not finding anyone else like me out there that's like a fucking evangelical or whatever. You know? And for better or worse. And
hang on, you mentioned you were living in a bus back there. I gotta double click on that for just a second before
Totally.
we continue wearables and go to crypto voxels and sandbox and all of that.
Right.
Like, what can you bring me into? Like, did you watch Into the Wild too many times, or what?
Man.
What happened?
I go through all these phases. I kind of a shapeshifter in many ways, but I live in Southern Oregon. I've lived here for 10 years. I love it here. Amazing people, amazing vibe. It's like just the right amount of music and stuff going on for like how rural and out of like the hustle and bustle it feels. So I was brought, or when I first came down here, I fell in love with this tiny town in Southern Oregon called Williams. And it's just a bunch of like pot growers and organic gardeners, and everyone has chickens, and there's potlucks all the time. And it's just a beautiful place. And, you know, and there's a fair amount of music and stuff going on. It's kind of like a little hub. And so when I was living out there, I lived in the school bus. And And it's funny now, me like being a guy with like fucking like 4 monitors, you know, like fucking with blockchain and crypto all the time, and like spend so much time on my computer now, but I didn't for many years, and actually, you know, wasn't even on social media for like 4 years, and didn't have internet during that time. And I just lived in my bus, and I still like kind of produced music and played in bands, you know, but yeah, my life back then was very different. And it's funny, my friends are like, seeing me go through all these changes, it's funny, but yeah, so I live in a school bus.
And it sounds not completely unfamiliar, FutureGeeGee, right? A little Nevada City action or some other collectives out there.
Oh yeah, sure. I've definitely spent some time in Williams too. I love it up there.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
cool. I love Nevada City too. I actually always said that if I moved away from Ashland, I think I'd move there. Yeah.
Come visit sometime.
I will. Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you want to go next, FutureGeeGee? You want to go wearables? You want to go tickets? You want to go?
I'd be curious to talk about sort of the nuts and bolts of, you know, when an artist does a metaverse show, you know, what tools do you use to sort of broaden their reach, to promote their show, and then how do you use wearables in that mix as well, and you know, as giveaways, and are you selling the wearables and stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so now after the metaverse or the Facebook pivot into Meta, obviously all these decentralized metaverse projects blew the fuck up, and lots and lots of new users are there now. So there's even more and more people that are in that space. So there's more potential clients or people that will buy your art now. So that's made the process a little bit easier just because there's more people there. But so we are mostly in Decentraland right now. We're actually pivoting into CryptoVoxel, Sandbox, and Somnium space as well, but still at the moment, the majority of my time span is in Decentraland. And I have a team now of people that help promote, and they're all kind of, everyone's pretty much focused in Decentraland, and that's where my biggest land is and everything. And so a couple things. Twitter is huge. Twitter's where the crypto community lives pretty much. So my Twitter is almost exclusively like Decentraland stuff. And then I have those other people that work for me, and they have Twitter too. So we kind of just like use Twitter a lot to promote these events. And most of my followers and people I'm following are already in that space, and they're active and always posting and stuff. So we use Twitter a lot. There's an events page on the decentralized web, or the Decentraland website, that people check out a lot. So we have events there. And then really we have been hosting a live stream every Saturday for like 4 months now. And so the idea was just to build consistency. So we have like a built-in audience now, and people just know it's like Saturday, 3 p.m. like we're going to be doing a thing. So that's been a big part of it. And then in the actual space itself, like in the metaverse, there's a function part of their user interface where you can actually put in people's NFTs in there. So you can be walking around and see an NFT like a painting, and then you can go click on it and it will take you right to OpenSea, so people can make purchases like that. Other than that, there's like these POAPS or POAPS, and they're like a valueless NFT, but people act like they have value. They go crazy for them. They're like crack for some of these people. So we have like POAPS for every event, and it just means proof of
attendance.
Proof of attendance protocol, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it just means like, hey, I was here, I did this thing. So we give those out. People will come for just those because they collect them.
At the Porta Potty, if I'm not mistaken.
The Porta Potty, yeah, totally. So,
I had a giggle on that one.
I know, that's one of my favorite parts, man, because like everyone just goes crazy over these popes. So it's funny to make them actually go into a porta potty to get them. And then it plays into just the whole festival motif as well, because like, you know, we all know porta potties are just part of life when you're at a festival. And there's always people going in and out there. So you go to a CromuLand show and you're going to see like 10 or 15 people, avatars, just hanging out around the fucking shitter. So like, yeah, with the popes, that brings people in. Wearables, as you mentioned, are huge, because that's like, you know, your digital fashion. And that's kind of, I think that is going to blow the fuck up too. There's all these real world, you know, like Chanel and Louis Vuitton and all these big companies are making partnerships with different crypto companies that are actually making token standards for fine fashion. So you can actually use an NFT and like an NFC chip or some RFID chip within an actual piece of clothing to actually validate its authenticity and then have it be combined with an NFT. So that is huge too. And I think that's gonna be a massive use case that hasn't really taken off yet. But these digital wearables are kind of like, trendsetters in that sense. And they're kind of like the first move towards that. And so like people in Decentraland, you have your avatar and you can use kind of stock clothing to like dress it up and personalize it. But then a huge part of it, I mean, this is probably how they generate most of their money right now is people can create their own wearables, and then you get them made and you have them in your wallet and you can sell them or you can give them away. And I've done a bunch of Cromulon wearables. There's some I give away and there's some that I sell. And people are buying them. People bought them. When I first made it, I made some shoes and I sold some shoes for like $250 US. It was crazy. I've since dropped the price because like I'm trying to make them, you know, I'd rather have people like wearing them than like trying to like make more money off them. But that was like a real like crazy moment to me too. I was like, man, I can't sell a shirt for more than $20, but I can sell a digital shirt for like 100.
Which you can print an infinite number of, or 1,000 or whatever the limit size. You're right, but there's no physical product, which is crazy, right?
Yeah. So So that's a trip, but man, yeah, Decentraland runs on wearables. So giving wearables away is huge. Like you'll see at the show last night, there were a bunch of other events. So it was kind of started off a little slow. So you saw me kind of chumming the water, like, hey, post a photo of you here on Twitter, tag me, and then drop me your address. I'm gonna shoot you some wearables. So like, and people, yeah, for better or worse, people like them even more than the music sometimes. But you know, we're all just about just building awareness. And I really, after what I saw with Decentraland and selling NFTs, any artist I know that is into NFTs, I'm like, hey, play a show at CromuLand and let's get you like in there and actually in front of the people that are Web3 savvy enough to just personally go out and buy one of your NFTs. And people have been making sales too, which is really cool. Like through their streams at CromuLand.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned circling back potentially on like NFT tickets, and
yeah. So
you want to hit that?
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's I think that's honestly like going to be one of the major turning points for audio NFTs, because audio NFTs haven't really taken off yet, you know, in the sense that you know, all the just purely visual art NFTs have. I think it's because people are, you know, we're slow to figure things out, and most people still don't even understand, you know, just the techie part of an NFT and how like you can just turn anything into something that can't be counterfeited, and you know exactly who owns it, and like that just alone just opens up the possibilities. So like people are like, oh, NFTs are fucking pictures of monkeys or like fucking whatever, you know, but they're really just like a really incredible way to just validate ownership of anything and make counterfeiting not a thing anymore. And so I'm waiting for the moment when you know, Live Nation, you know, side note, fuck Live Nation. I just got to say that. Fuck it. But they're out there, they're doing it. They've got it all pretty much locked down. So, you know, whatever. But when they start having their tickets be NFTs, I think shit's gonna blow the fuck up for audio NFTs, because then just by nature of them doing that, you know, overnight or over the course of a couple months or something, they're going to onboard millions, if not even like 1 billion people to like just this automatically interacting with NFTs. And so when that happens, I think it's just going to be fucking crazy. So I'm really preparing for that in a few different ways. And that's kind of, I think, the biggest bet I'm even going to take on NFTs. And that's, so if you think about it, like, you know, what are the problems with ticketing? Like, you know, there's counterfeits a lot. And if you have tickets as an NFT, that's not a thing anymore, you know, as long as it's written from like Live Nations. I'm just going to keep using them as proxy, you know, even though there's lots of hopefully other people in decentralized companies that are going to start doing that. And I hope they get even ahead of them and get more market share. But like, then, you know, as long as it comes from the proven address, Genesis address of that company, then you know that you're getting the actual ticket.
It's legit.
Yeah, and you just know that.
Yeah.
And there's no way to counterfeit that. So that's huge. First off. Second off, and I think this is really why they're going to go for it. They don't give a fuck about, you know, like open source decentralization and cutting out the middlemen, of course, because they are the middleman and they make fucking bank. But, you know, it's also important, I think, to understand why these big industries will move to NFTs for even the wrong reason, because, you know, then it still just shows like NFTs will become popular. And then if they do, just like by nature of that, like, decentralized open source technology will then start becoming more normal too, and hopefully will like slowly leach into all these centralized worlds and start decentralizing them and bringing power back to the sovereign individual rather than these corporate entities. But so also Live Nation wanting all the money, they lose so much revenue on resale of tickets, right? So like StubHub and all these companies that are out there.
Secondary markets. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So they don't make anything on secondary market sales.
Yeah.
But if their tickets are NFTs, they do. So all of a sudden, you can sell secondary tickets peer to peer without using StubHub or any of these, or Eventbrite, or I don't fucking know, or Tixel. That was a big one with Lucidity. I noticed. I tried to sell an extra ticket to Lucidity on the Facebook page, and someone was like, "No, you can't.
Don't do it.
Ticket from this guy. You need to go to Tixel so you don't get ripped off." I'm like, oh, okay. Not trying to rip anyone off, but I get it. It's out there. It's happening. But yeah, so if tickets are NFTs, that goes away. I can sell my ticket to you, and you can know that you're not getting ripped off.
Good.
The actual thing. So like that is really helpful to just ticketing in general. And then on top of that, when I do that, Live Nation gets 10, 7, knowing them probably like 20% royalties on that sale.
Right.
That alone will up their revenue, a multinational corporation, enormously. Enormously. I mean, they're working off like, if they can bump their money up, or their yearly income, by a percent, that's huge. But if immediately they start making 10% on every after sale of a ticket, like that's huge. And they're going to do that because they like money, you know? So like that's going to happen. And then or go for it.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, this is reminding me of, Brian, we were sitting with David, in the van driving down, and he was talking about, one of the stories that came up was Bruce Springsteen, right? And like wanting to sell his tickets to blue collar families. And he didn't want to charge more than $100, $150. And the people had to come back and go like, sorry, Bruce, but like that's too lucrative to basically these kind of scams or bots or these big, people that pour money in, buy them immediately, and then sell them for double, triple, quadruple the prices on the back end.
Right.
And you're gonna end up making kind of those average Americans pay more to see you if so it's like counterintuitive, right? The lower you set the price for him, the more the common person would expend. But all of a sudden,
right.
So it's just this interesting dynamic, right? Of like, how do you price things? How do they change hands? Or I remember when the PS5 came out, my brother was like dying to get one, but they're impossible, because I think this has now become like this well-worn path of anything semi-sacred certainly happens in the NFT space all the time, right? People coming in looking to flip.
Yeah.
People coming in,
exactly,
trying to buy low, and within 48 hours offload it, right?
Yeah, totally. And they've got all these bots, and that'll go in there, and they'll buy up all the Bruce Springsteen tickets and then sell them back to the fans. Yeah, it's a thing.
I just hope, like, long term, my vision is like, it feels like it's so bad for the space, all the flipping activity and the short side. Like, these aren't the true fans that like Bruce Springsteen or Cromulon or the Polish Ambassador, right? So it's like, okay, I get it. There are moments and events, they're profiting from those little hype cycles, but it feels like if we do this right, I mean, the real value is, again, connecting directly with your fan base, building relationships with people over time, and then unlocking new experiences for people, whether that's digital wearables or, God, FutureGeeGee, you talking about, the jumpsuit gathering, I admit, by the way, I went back to your Instagram page, and I had to stalk you a little bit, and the smile on your face, Brian, like at that event, like you were glowing, man. Like you were practically lifting off stage.
Hell yeah.
No comment, he says.
Yeah, I mean, it's no silver bullet, and it's really going to be like interesting to see how all this works out, because obviously, like, there's still ways like bots can buy NFTs and whatnot, but I think it's baby steps in the right direction. But to finish that point, like the last thing that I really think is cool about tickets becoming NFTs is, so I'm like a deadhead too. Like, I kind of cut my teeth on Dead Lot, like jam scene, like got me into music. I'm from Colorado. So like String Cheese at Red Rocks when I was 15 blew my mind. It's signed me up, hopped on the bus. So like, and like, man, Dead Family is, I mean, people live their lives multi-generational around that shit, and like think if like you had a ticket stub from like one of the Europe 72 tours or whatever, and like they're still out there and whatever, people trade them too, but like what if they were all NFTs? And so like those just stayed in existence in someone's wallet. They didn't degrade or anything. They probably have like a really cool like holographic 3D like animated piece of art built into it, because they can like people will start trading and seeking ticket stubs way after the event happens, and then say like there's some, this is like, maybe Fish like plays like this one set that's like fucking amazing, and everyone's like, that was the set this
That was it.
2022 one, that's when we all fucking loved it, and they blasted everyone open, and it was just one of those moments. Like then that ticket, instead of just being a wad of paper, is a collectible. If someone like saw some of the tour but didn't see that, they're like, oh, I want to have the whole collection, I'm going to buy that person's NFT ticket stub. And so like then the ticket starts living in infamy too, and becomes a tradable asset that people will want to collect based on like how that show goes, or like if there's any like special thing, maybe maybe Bob Weir passes out on stage again or something, and that's the moment, you want to
Get it. Get the NFT.
So like that's what I'm really excited about for the future of NFTs, and audio NFTs specifically blowing up, because then there's just going to be all these new users that just all of a sudden are like, oh, well, I want to go to this festival, I need an NFT, I need to download MetaMask or something, and then they just have it, and then they're just overnight there's going to be like millions, hundreds of millions new users that are just forced into interacting with Web3.
Go Brian. So
Yeah,
you got a question.
I was just gonna say, it reminds me of, I mean, there's a lot of people who are really into concert posters, and
Right.
it being there early so they get the poster, and then sort of archiving and making sure that the posters don't get damaged. I mean, an NFT is even better,
Oh, you're right.
But
Yes.
one thing we just did on this last little run in San Diego, we had a little booth, and Ambastronaut fan club booth, and we had a banner made behind us, and our dev made this technology where basically like people come up and they're like, what's this? And we tell them sort of what it's about, and they create they scan a QR code, create a username and a password on their phone, and then it automatically generates a wallet for them. And
wow.
And then we're going to airdrop them the show poster on Polygon. So they're going to have their first NFT. Wow. And this,
right?
Like we had about 30 people do it, and it's sort of like we're experimenting with it. It's kind of interesting.
That is so cool. I had no idea you guys were doing that.
Yeah.
Did you have that at Lucidity as well?
Not at Lucidity.
It's more like for TPA headlining shows.
Yeah.
We could do it because it's like we need sort of booth space, and we didn't really have time to have the booth space at Lucidity, and
right.
So.
Or man the booth for 3 days over. Yeah. So we're like, we went at like 7:00, just an hour before the show. We like kind of set up, made it fun. People threw some dice. We even like brought a couple like older CDs and, gave away a signed graphic novel, so that was part of the Polish's, Genesis drop was predicated on the graphic novel that was like beautifully illustrated. Yeah. People were like coming up to the table and they're like, what is this? And we're like, oh, check it out. You love that guy on stage right now. Like, check this out. And a lot of people were like, okay, cool. Like I'm down for free shit. Like you said, like, we're not even selling you anything. So just create a wallet, no money, like, and boom, here you go. You got a wallet and now you got your first NFT, first airdrop.
Wow, that is amazing, guys. Thank you for doing that. You're doing Satoshi's work right there.
Well, it's sort of we just started it, and it's interesting because it's like, people at shows aren't necessarily. Some people really don't like NFTs too, So it's just.
I know.
We're not trying to shove anything down anyone's throats, We're just hey, this is this thing we're doing, and to create this other branch of community here, and you can be a part of it, and it's not a big commitment, so
Yeah, that's
yeah.
huge. That's so cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's really brightening my day. I'm glad you guys are up to that.
I love it. Well, look, I know you're a busy guy, and we probably got to get you out of here soon. But I don't want to drop too much alpha, but hopefully the Polish ambassador might grace the CromuLand stage at some point. And
Yes,
like
I've heard of some talk of that.
hatching some plans over here for Metaverse. So this was
Absolutely.
a great conversation, man. And yeah, just appreciate you making time for us, all the success that you've had. And again, it just feels like it's so early, even though you got, you've been in for a couple of years and rocking and rolling on this. Like, I am so excited. And I guess that's maybe my last question is like, what's, the thing that excites you the most about maybe the next like 2-3 years? And I don't know, any worries or concerns? Because I think at least the deeper I get into Web3, like I'm so optimistic. And then there is this tiny voice in the back of my head just going like, is this real? Does this make sense? Like you said, before I was untethered and living in a bus, and now all of a sudden I'm tethered to my screen all day, every day, like the deeper we get into it. So I don't know. Yeah. What's maybe like one hope or thing that excites you, and what's one challenge that maybe you see that we need to overcome as individuals or as a community?
Yeah. I think my biggest excitement is actually just finding different ways to reward and delight my fan base through NFTs, and finding more unique ways to offer them utility for holding them, and being a part of my journey, because I'm really grateful for like those people that really like my music right now. And when I get a DM from someone I don't know, like it seriously like makes my week,
Awesome.
So like I really want to reward those people and people that are giving me Ethereum right now for my art, like I'm so grateful for that too, so that's what I'm most excited about. And then, like I said, none of this is a silver bullet, and like we're at the precipice right now in the world where like, blockchain has so much potential to like more than any other technology through all of humanity to empower the sovereign individual, regardless of age, gender, nationality, creed, and I'm really hopeful for that to really empower people and turn us into a global society of humans, rather than all these like warring factions and of people. And I think it can do that, but blockchain and maybe like something on the blockchain that is not decentralized can do just as much damage in the opposite direction. And we see that with like, the Chinese Communist Party and all these things. So like it's just a really interesting time to be alive, because all this technology can, in the wrong hands, can, put us into a totalitarian nightmare, really be quite dystopian. But the way I see it is like, that's already happening. The balls are the wheels are turning in those arenas, within those places, and with those powerful people that want to do that. So they're going to be doing that regardless. And like the CCP has been using WeChat to do that before there is ever any blockchain introduced. So like in the right hands and with the right people and with enough people like really understanding like what can happen through blockchain, I think this can be like the most important turning point in human history. But equally, like, if it starts being used in worse ways, like, yeah, it can really turn the world into a place we don't want to live in. So I'm just really excited to be alive right now, honestly. And there's so much going on. There's so much these days to even like make you depressed or like question everything. And, I'm just breathing and meditating and working on art and like just doing what I can to perpetuate like an industry and a new technology that I really think can help out, and yeah, so let's hope we stay open source,
Yeah,
Centralized.
I love it. Exactly. And just like any technology, right, can be used for good or evil.
It's
and
true.
and again, we need more good guys out there, right? Kind of doing the right thing, role modeling the way, showing what's possible with this new technology. So
spreading awareness on that, because like you know, it's easy for people to think that crypto is just about people making money, and NFTs are just about people making money off pictures of monkeys, you know, but it's so much more than that, you know.
Much more.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Cromulon, you've been a fabulous guest. So thank you for joining us today on the Polish Ambasstronauts podcast. I'm Dojo, on behalf of FutureGeeGee and the team. Thanks for tuning in this week. And again, join us on future episodes where we talk with different musical artists, builders, creators, people, you know, making that transition from Web 2 to Web 3. And this was a delightful conversation here from one of the Decentraland OGs. And again, stay tuned. You know, TPA is going to be dipping his toes into the metaverse coming soon. So you heard it here first, folks. All right. Thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next one.